Welcome to Gracefully Graying. I am your host, Attorney Henry Gornbein. Today on Gracefully Graying, I'm very pleased to welcome a friend and card shark who has played poker and won with four aces over my house, Gerald Laker, who is living life fully and is about to turn 90. So without further ado, I would like to welcome you, Jerry, as our guest today on Gracefully Graying.
Thank you, Henry. I appreciate it. By the way, that four aces was once in a lifetime.
Well, it happened when I was on the losing end of it, so you will not be allowed to forget about it. First of all, why don't you tell our viewers about your earliest childhood memory?
Well, I was my my life started on Dexter Avenue, on Richton Avenue in Detroit. My family my parents were young and had immigrated. My dad uh, was born in Poland, and his family immigrated to Windsor. My mother was uh, born in what is now the Ukraine in Russia, and her family came to America. Um, Interestingly enough, her father, they lived in a time, and she was there with her two sisters and two brothers, and they got word that the Cossacks were coming into their town to conscript the people, the men, to get into the army. So her father took off and left the Ukraine, left the family, and came to America, where he had family here. And eventually, he brought over his wife and uh, the other kids. One brother went also escaped and went to Brazil, and well, we've never had any remembrance or any contact with him. Different times. Um, my father came over. He was the oldest of nine siblings. At the time when he came here, he there were three children: him, his sister, his oldest sister, and his brother, and they lived with their grandfather. The parents immigrated to Canada, and they took the daughter. And later in life, my dad and his brother came over on the boat. You know, the picture of young kids with a tag on their neck, and they came over, as far as I understand. Uh, Thinking about these things, it just amazes me how people survived uh, the times and how we've progressed. Um,
Jerry, tell us about your children and family.
oh,
You have a lovely wife and three
oh,
daughters.
my wife Elaine and my three daughters, Jolie, Bonnie, and Pam. Um, the I tell you, everybody, whoever has it, is lucky enough to have a daughter, uh, they will benefit from it. Our three daughters are extremely attentive to Elaine and I, especially in our later years, um, and we're very blessed by it. Uh, Case in point, the youngest Pam, who lives in Alaska, who as a young child went off to visit and came home and said, I'm moving next week. And she moved off to Alaska. And there were times we didn't hear from her for a long time. And now Pam kind of talks to her mother almost every day. She's very attentive, as Jolie and Bonnie are. We're very fortunate. We're very blessed.
Jerry, what made you decide to go into dentistry rather
Uh,
than family business?
well, first of all, uh, I went to a high school, Central High School, at a time when college was highly regarded. We had a large percentage of students went off to college, which was at the time, uh, after the World War II and such, it was mostly, it was more common for people or men who would go off and graduate high school and get a job in the automotive or other things, and that was more commonplace. So our high school was rather unique. I didn't realize it until after later on in life. Um, I was uh, I have two brothers. My older brother Irv, who is 7 years older than me, and Marty, who is 8 years younger than me. And the one of the things we've always had a very close relationship, which was very valued. And I look back at my years. Um, my older brother went off to Michigan, um, and when I graduated, what's good for my big brother, it's good for me, and that's I went off to Michigan. The only thing in retrospect, looking back on it or thinking about it, I was 17 at the time going off to college. And in retrospect, I was really too young to really appreciate and the value. It took me a while to value what my college education offered. Um, the and also it was an opportunity to get out of the house and go to Ann Arbor, which was 40 miles away, and it was a time when it was my first time leaving the home. Um, the and Michigan was just
Dentistry,
how
Jerry.
it was just a great place to be.
In dentistry, did you have an affinity for science and that's why you went into that area?
No, it was it was at that time. My dad, through various circumstances, started a business that my brothers really gravitated. We all worked there, and every vacation, every day. Uh, my father was one of the hardest working people. I realized it later in life when I thought about it, how the efforts and the how he did what he did for himself and our family was amazing, and non-selfish, hardworking. And what happened with me, and each of us, as we worked during vacation or weekends, we worked with him. While I was a student at Michigan, my brother Irv suggested I had a friend of his was in dental school. He says, go over there because at the time we only went to a dentist when you had a problem. And he said, take advantage of it and go get dental care that week. And as a patient there, I really got interested in doing what it led me to eventually applying to dental school.
How long did you practice dentistry, Jerry?
Gosh, well, let's see. I think
More than 50 years.
I'd say about 50 years or thereabouts. I mean, time. What it was a labor of love. I enjoyed it. Dentistry is one of the only healthcare where you treat the whole family.
What are some of the highlights of your career in dentistry?
Well, I actually I had
Pulling teeth?
one of the things that was impacted on me. I graduated in 1960 from dental school. We had a severe recession at the time. I literally, after 7.5 years of college and dental training, I did not find a job, or there were no buildings going on. And it was a very humbling period. And here I had a daughter, a baby, and such. The country was in a funk, and something that I'm very sensitive to what's going on in our society today. Elaine was more employable as a teacher than I was as a dentist. I finally, after six months, I got a job with the Detroit Board of Health at Receiving Hospital, which was from a professional career, very learning. I saw things there that I probably didn't see in the rest of my years in practice, because I eventually opened up in Livonia, which was a young, growing area, and and that's where I practiced, and I enjoyed the people. Most of my people were hardworking, or one of the spouses was college educated, and it was an enjoyable clientele.
Jerry, what made you decide to retire?
Uh, the technical part of dentistry, as it grew, and as in healthcare, it became more and more technical, more and more precise. One of the things in dentistry, we dealt in milliliters, little small areas. And though I always prided myself and my staff of trying to do the best job we could, the work became more intense, and I found myself taking longer to accomplish a procedure. Also, the ability in my hands were not the same as my younger days. And I had the good fortune of meeting my partner, Andy Sofin. We met on a tennis court, and he was in a situation in Livonia that he was unhappy with, where he was working with two other dentists sharing a facility. And we talked about moving and such. So he says he came over, we shook hands, and he moved in, and literally our association, he extended my professional career. We were together about 9 years. My only regret is we didn't start sooner. He was just what was interesting, we shook hands, and we had two things in mind. Number one, if either one of us were unhappy with the work that was given, regardless of if Andy provided or I provided, we did it and corrected it to the best of our ability. Secondly, being the older senior partner, senior associate, if either one of us were unhappy, I would leave and he would continue. Well, I had 8, 9 years together. It was great association. And I remember about a year later, I finally went to a lawyer and made a contract. And he said, well, you got to provide for this and you got to provide for that. I said, listen, it either works or it doesn't work. Anyways, it did work well. We were great, and to this day, he's a good friend.
That's wonderful. Jerry, was your transition into retirement difficult?
Well, I think for Elaine it was.
Was it that much?
She had me hanging around a lot more. The thing that I noticed, I always started early hours, and it was nice to have the opportunity to have a second cup of coffee and read the paper, which was a real treat. One of the things I probably missed most was the patient contact. As I said, in dentistry, most you treat families, and to hear about different family members or different, what's going on in their family, and it was really a very positive thing. I know that there was certain practice management issues trying to, make use of every minute so that not everybody needs a half hour, not everybody needs an hour, and we tried this practice management with 10-minute units, where some patients you only need 10 minutes, some you need 20 minutes, some you need 5 units, for long procedures. And I tried it for a week, worked my fanny off. I did very well monetarily, but I hated it. We reverted back to allowing.
Let's fast forward now to some of your favorite activities. What are some of your favorite activities now?
Now?
Or since retirement?
Well, it's interesting. You go through life, you go through as a child, you go as a teenager, you go through college education. And now Elaine and I are in a senior citizen mode, and we're adjusting. For the most part, we're very lucky in that we are able to motivate and do things that some of our friends are unable to. They didn't have the ability because of health reasons or the ability to get along. I marvel at Elaine, who has, I hope she doesn't mind me telling you, but she has a vision problem, macular degeneration. And she's legally blind, but if you meet her, you talk with her, you would never know. And how she functions around the home, I marvel at it. It was, if I had the misfortune to have the macular, I don't think I would be able to accomplish what she's able to do in her day and her activity level.
She's amazing. I agree with you. What are some of your favorite foods?
Oh, well, I'm an eater, so we just, I don't know, what's favorite? I know I grew up in a household, my mother was a good cook. And Elaine is a good cook. And
All our girls are.
And I proudly say each of our daughters do very well in the kitchen. So I don't know.
invention from your lifetime are you most amazed by?
That's interesting. I think the cell phone. I think it's, I just marvel. I am not that adept with the new technology. As my kids and grandkids still mock me because I write checks to pay bills, and the cell phone and watching our son-in-laws or our kids and our daughters use the cell phone for communication, for information, and go about it amazes me. I'm not that technically adaptable. We do email and such, but the only thing about cell phones, if you walk down the street, I know in our visits to New York, you walk down the street, you don't see anybody looking. You see their head down looking at their cell phone as they walk, which I think is unfortunate, but it still is a marvelous appliance.
It's a marvelous appliance. It's also a two-edged sword that, in some ways brings us together, in some ways brings us further apart. What is your happiest memory?
Oh gosh. I don't know if anything. I have to think about that, Henry. I just don't. It's just as I told you. When we started out with a child in a recession type area, and things took a long time to end up. I used to work a lot of hours in trying to get to make a living and I marvel at what Elaine and I have accomplished in our family and our.
What would you want to know if you could see the future, Jerry?
What I would want to know, I hope that there would be more insight into helping other people, and I marvel at what our country is able to accomplish. I have a discomfort at what some of the things that are going on today, where people are losing their jobs, people are cutting out helping other people as a matter of routine, and there's a divisiveness going on in our society that disconcerting. It's you don't have the attitude of helping one another, or for those who are able to help others, it's not as common.
Yeah, we're in some very frightening times now, I'm afraid. Yeah. If you could change anything in your life, what would you do? I saw Elaine waving from the back. Yeah. In trouble, Jerry.
I have to give it some thought. I really, I was raised to enjoy what is available and to reach out and help other people. I remember one of my mother's issues, we were talking about driving and the people on the corners, asking for help. And my mother said, when people ask, don't question what their need is. If they have to ask to help, don't hesitate to be helpful.
Jerry, what advice would you give to your children and grandchildren?
I I think they go to their mother more than they go to me. But anyways,
So your advice is they should talk to Elaine. What about advice to your younger self, Jerry?
well, I have, I know I was raised in valuing family ties and enjoying and I know Elaine and I benefited from this. I just think people who I know today, I don't understand because of circumstances where people pursue educational and professional and business type areas. They're less apt to start a family, get married. Yeah, I'm not sure of the statistics. And one of the things we started a family at a young age, which was trying, but in today's society, in today's world, Elaine and I benefit by our daughters and their attention to us.
You got to be a great grandpa.
And as Elaine says, one of the treasures of our life of late, we now have great grandchildren.
That's something to be proud of. Yes.
Owen, who is 3 years old, who is very articulate. And in today's marvel, our Bonnie, who's the grandmother, she FaceTimes every morning with her grandkids. And even though they're in New York, she talks to them and they know who she is. And our granddaughter, our great granddaughter, Gemma, unusual name, but I spell it capital G, capital E, capital M, hypha, M-A. She's just a sheer delight.
Jerry, are there any final thoughts you would like to share with our viewers before we sign off on your turning 90, as we are about to run out of time?
Oh my goodness. I wish I had words of wisdom that I can. I'm just entering Elaine and I are entering a senior life that we're trying to adjust to. And so far, we're able to do a lot of things. We're able to enjoy a lot of things. We have concerns about, as I said, about what goes on in our world, but we value our life as is and look forward to hopefully many more years.
Jerry, I want to thank you so much for being our guest on Gracefully Graying. You are clearly an example of someone who is living life fully, which is our tagline. The viewers and, of course, our sponsors for making Gracefully Graying possible. Thank you so much.